So what I love about this movie, like the book, it celebrates American ingenuity, a little bit like Argo, in a funny way.
Right, yeah.
And I think that it must have been fun in a way to do that.
Yeah, the very first meeting I had about this with the writer of the script, Drew Goddard, he said he wanted it to be a love letter to science. And it is, and it felt like just a very optimistic and uplifting celebration of that, and that was something. It feels nice to put that out into the world.
Well, you're also very, very good at playing really dumb guys. And
Thank you.
so it must have been fun to play a really smart guy.
Yeah.
So maybe smarter than you.
Definitely smarter than me, and those are really fun people to play. It is fun to pretend to be that smart, and challenging in different ways. It's challenging playing really dumb people too, but really smart people can be tough.
Well, what's good about this is that the science is pretty accurate, as I understand.
Well, yeah, the science is, and I mean, Andy Weir, who wrote the book, really started with this kind of proposition of, all right, well, could a really highly trained person, could the right person survive on Mars for an extended amount of time if they did everything right and if everything kind of broke their way? And then he really let the science lead him from there. So the science is very rigorous in the book, and if you're going to start with that honest kind of premise, like, all right, I'm going to ask this question, could this actually happen? You can't cheat, with the answer. So we had consultants, from NASA and JPL, and they were on us about everything. I mean, the only thing that in the movie that actually couldn't happen is the storm at the beginning, which
you kind of need it.
Right. I mean, it's the only way to get the thing started. So it's the bit of license that we took, and it's in the book as well.
So you're at this stage of your career. You've done so many things. This particular role, I think, is probably one of the most difficult you've tried to do. You're talking directly at the camera. There are little shades of tragedy and comedy, and only angels have wings. Relief. Tell me if that's true. If it really was that difficult.
Yeah, I think it felt risky because there was no one else. I'm alone in so many of the scenes. But I think a lot of that risk is mitigated by the fact that Ridley Scott's the director, and by the fact that there's this incredible cast. There are these two other storylines going simultaneously, and so the writer in me knew, okay, well, if I start boring people to tears, we can cut back to these other stories, and they have all the bells and whistles of a big science fiction movie. So that was a little more downside protection.
How would you compare working with Ridley and working with Christopher Nolan?
They're similar in the in the important ways. The great directors all don't have any ego about the work. They're very open to suggestion from anywhere and from their cast, from their crew. They really just create this battlefield of ideas, and they come armed with their ideas, and they have a game plan. But if a better idea comes, they'll follow it, and it's a beautiful thing, and one that every great director that I've worked with has that, consciously or unconsciously. Because at the end of the day, they're the arbiter of taste. So that answer knocked out the camera. But at the end of the day, they get to decide what's in the movie. So ideas don't threaten them. On the contrary, they're very open to them. Ridley was different in that he does 4 shots at a time, which I had not seen. I mean, I'd seen Spielberg had done that in battle sequences in Saving Private Ryan.
Multiple cameras?
Multiple cameras, yeah, 4 cameras. So if he were shooting this scene, there would be 4 shots going on.
That's a 360 kind of.
Well, he doesn't shoot them at each other. He finds 4 shots on a similar, on one side of the line. So, for us, this could be perhaps, a master, a 2-shot, and 2 overs, but he'd shoot them simultaneously.
So are those long shot takes that he does?
They can be, they can be a full scene if the scene is staged and actors are moving around.
Does he ask you to do different shades because this has a lot of comedy, and as we said, it has shades in it, so that you would play it higher, lower, broader?
Yeah, I mean, he's very, he lets the actor go where the actor wants to go, unless he thinks we're totally on the wrong track. But yeah, he'll say a little bit more, a little bit less. But oftentimes, he's very confident with his decision making. So if he feels he has it, or he knows he has it, then you're done and you move on. And
cool.
Yeah, there's not a lot of. Clint Eastwood always said, "Let's not F this up by thinking about it too much," and Ridley says the same thing.
So this character, Gatney, he is so confident. He just wills himself to get there.
Right.
It's a fascinating character because he is an astronaut, and he goes, "I'm the biggest, the best botanist in the world." Right. He's an egomaniac on some level, but he's scared too.
Yeah, and I think some of that's covering the fear. I think, Ridley, when I first met him, talked about Robinson Crusoe and how he always wanted to make that. But we found out pretty quickly that while it was similar in some regards, what's really different about it is it's this 21st century Robinson Crusoe, in that he's surrounded by these cameras. So he's behaving under the expectation that he is being watched. So there's he's not alone on a desert island or alone on a planet going, nobody's ever going to know what I've experienced. On the contrary, he's going, I'm in a lab right now, and we are discovering what this experience is like for a human being, and I'm furthering our understanding of what this all means. And so his life has great purpose, and I think the castaway idea it's stuck on a desert island, marooned on a desert island, is my life has no meaning. Nobody will even know that I struggled like this. But whereas Mark is, I think that his life has tremendous meaning.
Absolutely. So why go back to Project Runway?
Project Greenlight?
Project Greenlight, yes.
Project Greenlight. Well, we always loved it, and we believed in the idea that there were filmmakers out there who were ready. If we could just establish a new system to based on merit, and so we decided to do it, and we'll see if we made a good decision or not.
Well, it's just fun working with Ben. I know you.
That's true. It is fun working with Ben.
And Bourne. Why go back to Bourne?
Well, Paul Greengrass came back, and that was the big one for me. But we talked about, it's been 9 years since we made one, and we talked a lot about over the years, should we do it or not? And ultimately, we just felt like a few things. One, the world had changed enough that it would be interesting to see where Bourne was and where he would fit into the landscape of this new kind of post-Snowden world. And the other was that people want to see it, and that's not anything to turn our nose up at. Our job is to entertain people, and to build an audience is a really hard thing to do, and we want to give them what they want at the same time.
Well, I think that comes back to The Martian really nicely, because that's what I love about this movie. It's smart, it's well made, it's beautifully acted, and it's fun.
Great.
It's very satisfying.
Great. Yeah, that is. Ridley said at the premiere the other night to introduce the film, he said, "Don't be afraid to laugh, because it's meant to be fun."